fire when we were built dragon. I think that what I know keeps you up at night. Make all the dreams quiet when we were built dragon.
Well, all right. I think we're ready to roll. Welcome to Not Your Normal Wednesday service. Do we already have a Christian in the chat throwing up some drive-by evangelism? We let you get away with it a time or two, but remember, it's a call-in show, not a write-in show. And we will open the lines and give you a chance to go ahead and do the honorable thing and pick up the phone and discuss your feelings with the host. But tonight, I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian whistleblower, saluting you for being here, seeking after truth. And I hope you're ready for some unindoctrination. Because ready or not, here it comes. Wall to wall, treetop tall, coast to coast, border to border, and beyond. Tonight, it's deprogram time. The first PSY-OP, Saturn, Satan, the golden age, abundance, wisdom, order, harvest time. Has it been rebranded, demonized, and forgotten? the fall, fear, obedience, shame, punishment, and eternal loss. Well, we're here, and I'm like House MD, only I'm House MDiv. We're getting to the bottom of everything. We've been investigating this stuff, diagnosing since 1999, baby. So let's go ahead and get this party started. I want to say thanks to Blake for a good $10 donation. And I always appreciate him, but I'm in a little bit of a time right now where I appreciate him even more. So thank you so much for that, Blake. Really do appreciate you. And I just want to follow up a little bit on our last D program, Purple Dawn and the Black Sun. This is on the site on the, thank you, J Mars. This is on the YT channel, YouTube channel. I haven't gone live on TikTok yet. I think we're live on Facebook tonight. Not sure. Haven't checked. But I want to follow up on the Purple Dawn D program. If you missed that one, you got to go back and check it out. Colleen sent this, and she said back in the Purple Dawn, and she's correct, that everything was bigger. So it was good to be a lady back then, good to be a man. The Devil's Tower is a really good example. And Cynthia and I, on our maiden voyage, well, sort of our maiden voyage with our RV, our first RV, we went to the Devil's Tower. And on the way there, we stopped at this rest stop, which had a pretty big stump cut off. And it had, a few feet. It looked exactly like the Devil's Tower, and the top of it looked exactly like the top of the Devil's Tower. So were the trees bigger then? Yes, they were. Were the grapes bigger then? Yes, they were. And I refer you to Numbers 13:23 in the King James Bible, because everybody loves a king that said he went both ways. So I know that Christians love that. And they came to the brook of Eshcol, cut down from thence a branch with a cluster of grapes. Jeff, why are you talking about grapes? Well, hold on. They bear it between two on a staff. Two guys with this rod, this big pole. And usually you see like an animal hanging there, or sometimes a human, right? But anyway, here it said it was a grape. But if we continue to look deeper and deeper, you remember that the spies, and this is also from King James, the Israelites spies went and saw the people that were in the land. And they said, man, these people are great in stature. They're big old people. We even saw Nephilim there, giants. We seemed like grasshoppers in our own sight. And they must have thought the same about us. And this just shows us, by way of kosher disclosure, what our Abrahamic's enemies really think about us. They know we are big, 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 big. They know that we know that they're just like little pests.
In fact, we're not coming from here. We came from there. Like this.
Here's the story.
This is Israel at their root. So we went through such a route that took us inside by what's called the shattering of the vessels.
This sets up
The
our whole
shattering
deep program
of the
tonight.
collective soul.
Who's the chief of staff that sent this command unit?
Him, the creator. Israel is a part of him.
So, seemingly this chief of staff sent this command unit.
Sent the commando, gave them strength, gave them the connections, everything. And if they're connected to him, but they have no choice. He broke them. He shattered them. What does it mean? In order to put them inside the hostile land, he had to give them the same form of that hostile land. It's like we go into a country as an undercover team. And each one of us is exactly like the people of the land. Say we're being now sent somewhere, Africa, for instance. So we'll take on the same shape and form of the people in Africa. The characteristics, traits, approach, interests, everything. The same exact form, inside and out. As we are there, it's like an undercover agent. He is there for a while, no one touches him, he has to start working, build a house, family, everything is fine, okay, for years and years. After that, he starts doing something. He gets a reminder from outside. You got to start working. He already forgot about it. And all of a sudden, they call him, here is your commander, this and this and that. Like in the movies. And like in Jason Bourne. And this is what's happening with us. We have to wake up. We have to remember that we have a special mission. And really, this isn't our place. We're coming from a completely different place. So we have to find our friends according to this awakening. Did you get a phone call? I got a phone call. He got a phone call, and so on. And then we gather as a group. So from this entire planet, we are aliens. We're coming from a different galaxy. We received this ray of light, this awakening, individually, and now we're gathering as groups, starting to prep ourselves to conquer Earth. That's the mission. What? You don't see it?
How do we conquer it?
How do we conquer it? We're also sent the method. We're being shown everything gradually. We're being taught. Not taught, but kind of being trained, activated, and then that emotion and mind awakens in us. But in fact, it's new to us, but in fact it's coming from our original planet. And thanks to that original natural force we have, we will take over. We'll take over those living on Earth. What are you looking at me like that? You don't believe what I'm telling you? I'm telling you seriously. It's even more than that. It's not a different galaxy. It's a different universe. It's a different dimension altogether. That's who we are.
When someone tells you who they are, it's best that you believe them. So it's very possible that this whole idea of going out into the land of the promised land or whatever is really a picture of the original Abrahamic invasion of planet Earth. And the reason I talked about grapes is because the Bible often uses grapes as a metaphor for people. So they're carrying grapes on that pole. Of course, it was just grapes. It couldn't have been a person. We know that would be totally ridiculous. But instead of calling people grapes directly, the scripture, I know you call it the scripture. I call it the scripture because it's just a script that they wrote to be sure that they could fulfill their agenda. Well, instead of calling people grapes directly, the scripture will use them as symbols. So the angel swung his sickle, like in Revelation 14, and gathered the grapes of the earth and threw them into the great winepress of God's wrath, and the blood flowed as high as the bridles of the horses. So they're showing us things that we need to learn how to see. And it's interesting because they talk about vineyards, which are filled with grapes, right? That's what the derivation of the term is. And isn't it interesting that The Lord planted a garden. Could it have been a vineyard? Could it have been a vineyard? What's the first? Noah planted a vineyard right after the supposed flood. And in Genesis 49:11, it talks about the vine. It talks about the blood of the grapes. It talks about being washed in the wine. That reminds me of washed in the blood of Jesus. So we got to begin to learn to see these things and recognize these things. Was it a vineyard instead of a garden in Genesis? Was the whole earth a vineyard to replenish the invaders and spies with grapes? And what exactly were they carrying on that spit? And remember, they were told to replenish the earth, and replenish means filling up what has been lost or consumed. And how exactly do they replenish their forces during invasion Earth? See, these are questions I hope that you'll begin to answer. And since we're talking about Saturn tonight, talking about rings, I wear rings. I think Super Galactic sent this. A lot of times, people that wear rings are into creativity, commitment, independence, spirituality. They're all about their heritage, their achievements. And it's not merely just decoration, it actually goes to expressing some types of personality. So if you feel like putting on a ring,
The
don't
rumors are
worry.
true, and I will tell you this as a therapist firsthand, that over the last 10 years that I have been a therapist, I have heard multiple women come to me and tell me that they have always identified as straight, but they are now trying to date women, and they're seeing if they are on the bisexual spectrum. And the reason why is that they are so frustrated with dating. They're frustrated in their marriages. They're frustrated in their partnerships. Men have hurt them. They've caused them PTSD. They have let them down so badly that they would choose to kind of maybe ignore or put aside their attraction, romantic, sexual attraction to men, to pursue even a sliver of an opportunity that they could find love, belonging, connection, chemistry with a woman, with someone that is female presenting, with somebody that maybe they wouldn't have considered 10 years ago. And it's not necessarily because they've had this sexual awakening. No, rather, it's actually them trying to turn away from men, I also worked in a prison for a year, and of course the saying, you've heard it before, I'll say it again, gay for the stay. So maybe some women are just like, I'm going to be gay for the stay because I need connection, I need belonging, I have physical needs, sexual needs, emotional needs, but I am so tired of trying to make it work with men that I'm just sort of done. And this is the thing that I will say once again, when I hear things like this, it really indicates to me the amount of burnout that many, not all, but many women have towards men, the exhaustion that they feel from trying to find connection with men emotionally, socially. Like, men are just often not at women's level, especially women who go to therapy, because women are just more likely to go to therapy than men. So women will often surpass their male partners emotionally and with their own personal development, because the men are just choosing to not utilize this form of self-care and utilize this form of like bettering themselves.
Listen. This is why I say therapy is a scam, because it's not there to correct you. It's not there to give you any insight. And a lot of times, because you can even choose your own therapist, what you're doing is confirming your own bias. And so instead of us holding people accountable and being honest with them and saying, oh, wait a minute, you just don't have no discipline. Oh, hold on. This is just something that you wanted to do, and now you're just using this as an excuse to justify it. Now you want to use other people. You want to use men. You want to say, oh my God, I've been done this. I've been doing that. If it ain't in you, that ain't what you doing. It ain't nothing that a woman can do to me in no way, shape, or form that would ever get me to say, you know what? I think I want to be around another man ever. I would prefer to be by myself. I ain't even going to say what I would rather do before I ever cross that threshold.
And we're not alone. We do have black presenters, brown, red, yellow, that are seeing the same things we're seeing. They're upset with the same things that we're upset with. So this whole idea of we can only work with our own people, I think it limits us. I think it's a mistake. And I'm for the optimization of all the races. I want the black race, brown race, red race, yellow race to optimize. And I want our white race also to optimize. So we are for all people, and we're not alone, because there are black, brown, red, yellow presenters that are also saying we don't want to bend the knee to this Abrahamic matrix. And just talking about that lady, look, I understand there's some bad guys. I really do. And I understand that, in my opinion, Christianity, with its Tikkun Olam agenda, has gone a long way towards feminizing men and ruining men. We got very few men out there that are even men, and we got even fewer that have any game. So I understand the ladies' predicament. Oh, there's the word in there. I understand the ladies' predicament, but a lot of times it's their own damn fault, because, they're like a 4 or 5 and they won't date anybody less than a 12. So come on, man. Ladies, you have to open your eyes and do some self-evaluation and understand that you ain't going to be able to date Brad Pitt, Tom Cruise, and super rich guys all the time. You see it on both sides of the spectrum. So I can understand the ladies' frustration with this sorry group of men we got today. But when you got Galatians 3:28 saying there's no more male and female, and you got dudes doing everything they can to be part of the bride of Christ, that's going to create some problems. That's why I'm trying to get you to at least sit down and question the Abrahamics, fear and guilt, mind control, matrix. Just ask yourself some questions. That's all I'm asking you to do.
Should people be treated differently based on their race? It's just a yes or no question.
It's not a yes or no question.
It's a yes or no question.
It is a, as I said in the...
As soon as he started talking, I knew this was going to be a victimhood approach.
See, we got black dudes that are getting it too. If you can't say that all people should be treated the same, regardless of their race, and that's if they're doing good, treat them the same. If they're doing bad, treat them the same, then you got a problem. And the problem ain't with anybody else than that person looking back at you in the mirror. Kylie says there's too many women thinking that are really 3s or 4s, and they're thinking they're 9s and 10s. Yeah, they're delusional. They're just delusional. And I understand that men ain't got no game anymore. I understand men. I mean, if you're trying to be part of the bride of Christ, how can you expect a guy to be masculine and whatnot? So I get it. I understand. What I'm saying is there's room for optimization within both of the sexes. That's all I'm saying.
Watch West Huff get challenged on the Flagrant podcast, and then watch what happens next.
I guess in the circumstance with the person who lives on the island has never heard about Christianity.
Yeah.
But what if he lives his life as a Christian because God is omnipresent, right? Like God maybe has given him the gospel in a different way than he gave it to you. What if that person is living a devoutly Christian life and the God that he's praying to might not be named Jesus Christ?
In one way, part of that is still saying you can earn it, in that he's doing the right things.
And he doesn't even know he's doing it.
But the only way to heaven is through Jesus Christ.
So that's where it does get tricky, and there is a sense of Jesus saying, I'm the way, the truth, and life. No one comes to the Father but through me. I would say we have an imperative to tell that person about the God that they believe in and who that is.
Nobody wants hell. Well, you just accept, and I guess Hindus accept Jesus as, I've read like a yogi,
sure,
essentially, but maybe not the only form of God. And theoretically, I think it aligns with Christianity in some ways, if God is everywhere, we could all be God. Jesus is a human that achieved his inner God. So
that would be the Hindu way of working it out.
Right, but then we accept Jesus.
But even Hinduism is exclusivistic in certain regards. So like, no one is entirely inclusivistic, right? The exclusivists have to exclude the inclusivists, and the inclusivists have to exclude
How would we, and I'm not, look, I don't know enough, so how are we exclusivists?
Right, so depending on what version of Hinduism you're talking about, because there's polytheistic Hinduism, there's monotheistic Hinduism, and there's atheistic or non.
So anyway, this guy's talking in circles, but the point I wanted to get to is that Christians say that until you hear the name of Jesus, right? Until you hear the name of Jesus and get saved, then you're going to hell. And there's billions of people, literally billions of people that have lived on planet Earth that have never heard the name of Jesus. And according to Christian theology, if you haven't heard the name of Jesus and gotten saved, then you're going to hell. And this guy, I forget who he is. I mean, he sound, that radar thing you got. Mine's kind of pinging a little bit, but do Christians really believe this? People that are good, honest, hardworking, treat their fellow man right. If they never hear the word Jesus, they're going to go to hell. But some guy that murdered, let's take, for example, Ted Bundy. They say he murdered all these people, but he got saved right before he got electrocuted, before he took that ride. And so Ted Bundy goes to heaven, but the guy that never heard Jesus doesn't go to heaven. Do you Christians actually believe this? I know that I'm the bad guy because I bring these things up to you and make you actually think about them. Wes Huff, is that who it is? Yeah, okay. Do you really, really, really believe this? And if you do, it might be time for you to just sit with it for a minute or two.
I was fired from my worship director position at a church a couple of months ago, and in that time, I've had quite a bit of time to think about how I'm feeling about everything, to think about how everything went down. One, I realized that, yeah, I should have been fired, and I know that. I know I was writing articles openly about my disbelief in God and about how much I hated modern Christianity and how the church was just a business and it was just a sales call pitching Jesus at the end of every service. And yeah, I can see how that would offend some people who are heavy devout Christians, but I stand by that. And, I think about how I was fired. I think about how I was pulled into a room by the pastor and two deacons, how they told me there was something wrong with me, how they told me I needed help, how they kicked me out, how they didn't give me any severance, even though that was my only job and they knew that. And it's just like, wow.
The wow for me is that this guy asked questions, this guy questions answers, and instead of the pastor sitting down with him and talking to him and explaining to him, I know he's booty hurt because he got fired. I get it. He probably wasn't that good of a worship leader, but he's booty hurt because he got fired. But even the church tells us to love each other and take care of each other. They just fired this dude, and they fired him because he dared to ask questions and he dared to question answers. So when Paul says, study to show yourself approved unto God, a workman that needeth not be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth, doesn't that include coming up with questions? And shouldn't that allow you to go to your pastor, your preacher, your minister, your worship director, boss, and say, hey, man, this doesn't add up to me? That's how I got started on my exit out of Christianity, but I was the pastor. It gets a little tough. So, yeah. But at least this guy had the guts to start asking questions. At least this guy had the guts to start questioning answers. And why does he get kicked out just for asking questions? If Christians are really seeking truth, why do they kick out everybody that questions their mind frame matrix? And why are you okay with that if you're a Christian? These are just questions I'm throwing out. Bill Hicks, just casting seed, just casting seed.
I don't know of any case study where a person has been abducted by Yahweh. Why, Tony? Yahweh has no image.
Wow.
They act like this is all profound. I don't know anybody that's been abducted by Yahweh. Well, that's because you never read the Bible, bro. What about Enoch? Enoch was walking along, and all of a sudden, poof, he was gone because God took him. That's abduction. He was there 1 minute, the next minute he was gone. That's abduction. That's abduction by Yahweh. Jesus standing around talking to his disciples, assuming he was real. And all of a sudden, he was there and poof, he was gone. He ascended, right? He got abducted. That's two from Yahweh, but the Bible said 2 or 3 witnesses. And how about Elijah? Elijah, he was there, and all of a sudden, boom, he was gone. So you got 2 or 3 witnesses already, bro, of Yahweh abducting people. 2 or 3 witnesses. And when every Christian, the Bible says you must present your body as a living sacrifice. And it's no longer you that live, but Christ that lives within you. And you have to take every thought captive and obedient to Jesus. Isn't that an abduction? Dude, Yahweh's abducting fools left and right. He's God has abducted more people than GREYS's or AYs, however you spell it. So not only do these people not read the Bible, but they believe some of the nonsense they believe because they don't read the Bible. I'm just asking questions up in here tonight. And with that, we're going to move into our D program. The first PSY-OP, did Saturn get reframed into Satan? And this is some big stuff tonight. This is some interesting stuff tonight. And we're going to talk maybe, a little Rolling Stones, sympathy for the devil, sympathy for Satan. So let's talk a little bit tonight. And I'll open the phone line so you can call in. Let's discuss how Saturn may have been inverted into today's Satan devil image. Let's talk about that. And even though the phone lines are not open right now, if you're a person that has a screaming question, put it in the chat in all capitals, and I will look at it. And how about the rapture? How many people are going to be abducted at the rapture if it ever happened? Lots, right? So don't tell me Yahweh doesn't abduct people. But the subject that we're talking about tonight, it kind of sits at the intersection or the crossroads, if you will, of history, comparative religion, symbolism, esoteric research. You can't be Satan. I'm Satan. Somebody got mad at me for saying that, but I am the adversary. I am the accuser of the brethren, saying you're trying to take our divinity, sovereignty, and freedom and trying to tell us we got original sin. But this subject is a big one. And I'm going to submit to you tonight what I think is undeniable evidence that religious figures, specifically heathen religious figures, have been reinterpreted by the Abrahamics authority over time. And that AXX stands for Abrahamics. The 3 X's relate back to the pornography industry, which is exclusively Abrahamic controlled. And the first X is Judaism. That's the proto-Abrahamics religion. The second X is Christianity. That's second wave Abrahamics religion. And the third X is for Islam. That's third wave Abrahamics religion. They're all Abrahamic. They all worship the same God. They all have the same characters. And when Kylie was young, she only went to church for guys. She never paid attention. She was the only girl in the Bible study. So Kylie was probably really popular. So yeah, there's that. But over time, Saturn, I'm going to suggest to you tonight some information that shows that Saturn may have been directly transformed into Satan. And there's parallels that will blow your mind, I'm pretty sure. So Shirley says she's doing the violet flame meditation. What do you say we start this deep program with a little violet flame meditation? I'm trying to bring this to you so you can kind of get it and you can kind of understand it and maybe start employing it in your life. It usually takes about 10 minutes. But we're going to do just a shortened version of it. So let's just go ahead and just settle in for a quick second. Sit comfortably with your spine as straight as you can get it. Take in 3 slow breaths. In through the nose, hold it a second. Let it out. In through the nose, hold it a second, let it out. Let your shoulders, your jaw, and your hands relax. Just take it easy. And then in your mind, as your eyes are closed, imagine a gentle flame of brilliant violet purple light appearing before you, But it's not like a regular fire, because this flame is cool. This flame is comfortable. This flame is luminous and it's alive. See it growing and surrounding your entire body. And as it does, just enter into that flame. And as you breathe, just think, with each breath in, I take in the divine. With each breath out, I release that which no longer serves me. Let your worries go out with your breath. Let your fears go out with your breath. Let your anger, your regrets, your tension, let them dissolve into that violet flame. Use an affirmation. I'm the purity that God desires. I release my past. I forgive myself. I forgive others. I welcome clarity. I welcome peace. And if you want, you can focus on a specific issue that you're dealing with. Bring it gently up in your mind. Imagine that issue being surrounded by this beautiful, loving, caring violet flame. And rather than trying to figure out a solution, just visualize that situation. Just see it becoming lighter. See it becoming clearer. Kind of take the emotional charge off of it. Then expand that flame, because this isn't just about you. Let it fill your room. Let it fill your home. Let it surround your family, your loved ones, your folk, your kin, your cousins, and then let it go even to the entire earth. Imagine it creating and carrying these qualities: mercy, healing, reconciliation. And then as you bring it to a close, back out of it, let it become a small violet star in front of you. Bring it into your heart. Take those 3 deep breaths again in. Bring in the good, out with the bad. Bring in the good, out with the bad. Do it one more time. And then when you're ready, go ahead and open your eyes. Now, this is what Saturn looked like in the Golden Age. This is what the sky looked like in the Golden Age. It was a purple color. And because of the alignment of the planets at that time, when you looked up in the sky, you didn't see the sun, whether you think it's yellow or white or whatever. This is what you saw in the sky. And this was the sky during the golden age of humanity. That's pretty fascinating. And the traditional story is that Saturn, who was a Roman god, a heathen god, he was the equivalent, supposedly, now this is the traditional story, we'll drill down on it. He was the equivalent of Kronos, the Greek, the Titan who ruled the golden age, before he was overthrown. And Satan comes from the Hebrew word ha-satan, the adversary or the accuser. That's why when I say I'm Satan, I don't mean I'm the bad guy. I mean I'm the bad guy that is helping to disrupt this Abrahamic matrix and bringing truth for people to consider. So Christianity, in my estimation, has reframed Satan into the chief cosmic opponent of their God, when he's really the God of the golden age. And this is 2 completely different figures, cousins, 2 completely different figures. And when you talk about Kronos and Kronos, they were always different figures. But with the rise of Christianity, they kind of got synthesized. And the thing to understand is that the Kronos with a K, he was a Titan. He was a Nephilim. He was a big, bad dude that was opposing the Abrahamic matrix. He was the son of Uranus, however you want to pronounce it. He was the son of Uranus and Gaia. He was a child of the sky and the earth. And we all, as humans, real humans, or the people that came here to help them, we are all children of the sky and the earth. Why do you have to go and get yourself another father? It's not like you're a bastard. It's not like you don't know who your daddy is. You don't know that you are a child of the sky and the earth. Now, Kronos was the father of Zeus. He was famous for castrating Uranus with a sickle, and we'll talk about that. They say he swallowed his own children. He was finally defeated in an event that's recorded as the Titanomachy. You know, it doesn't matter how you pronounce it. But Kronos, the Titan, always represented kingship. He always represented the passing of divine authority, but he wasn't really time as we see it, and which is now really an Abrahamic's creation. Now, one of the big differences is this confusion between the Abrahamics chronos or time and the original Titan chronos. I'll say it that way. And even ChatGPT told me that they have been blended together for 2,000 years. Isn't that interesting that they tell us Christianity's been around for 2,000 years? And that's the same amount of time that Chronos and Chronos have been blended together. Initially, they were different beings. And here's the distinction, because Chronos means time, like tick-tock, I'm on a schedule, we're running out of time, it's the end times, you got to get saved or you're going to go to hell, time is terrible, time is bad. And he's not a Titan. He's not one of the Olympian gods. Chronos is the Abrahamic concept of time that they had to steal from us, because time is running out on them, but time is on our side. Oh, yes, it is. Time's on our side. We can just run out the clock on these guys. If you're a Christian, time's your enemy. Oh, man, time. Oh, I'm so worried about time. We're not talking about Hermes tonight, but that's a good question. Time, it's so bad. No, we got all the time we need, bro. We got all the time we need, sis. So time, I don't know how many of you watch Star Trek, but one of the Star Trek Next Generation movies, it was the one with Kirk. It was Star Trek Generations, where Picard had that babe, and and there was that other guy that was played by Malcolm McDowell, and he said, time is a predator tracking you down. But Picard gets the realization that no, time is more like a friend that goes along with you. So in the great heathen original golden age ideal, time is on our side. Oh, yes, it is. Time's on our side. But when you allow yourself to be possessed by the Judeo-Christian fear and guilt mind control matrix, all of a sudden time's running out. Come on, man. Don't let them do you that way. Don't let them do you that way. So the real Kronos was a Titan king. He was the son of heaven and earth, and so are you. He wasn't time. He was a Titan, which stand outside of time. They fear time. We embrace time. He was all about ruling during the golden age. Do you want to get into the golden age or not? Or are you okay with this age? And a sure working out of time, we're going to win, that gets inverted and perverted into this abstraction that's tick-tock, to this abstraction that is outside of us, when time really is personal, that time is really within us. So Kronos the Titan was time is on our side. Chronos, the Abrahamic's time, is tick-tock, it's running out, and you got to get saved before you're going to hell. So, the great heathens, our forefathers, they associated Kronos with Saturn. Saturn was associated with agriculture, sowing and reaping. You plant a seed, you work the seed, it grows, it produces. And that's what we're supposed to be doing. Planting, growing, winning. And then comes the harvest. In heathen terms, the harvest is good times. We reap the crops. We reap the animals that are fed on the crops. We get strong like bull. We take back our planet from these invaders. But, now the harvest is scary, because that's when Big Daddy going to come back. We're going to send back Plastic Jesus. and he's going to reap the harvest, and he's going to take one's going to be left. It comes from a beautiful thing into a violent thing. Here comes the sickle, the grim reaper, right? Aging is good. I'm 63 years old, and I'm now at a weight that I haven't been at in over 30 years. I'm literally in better shape at 63 than I was at 53, 43, 33, maybe not 23. But aging is natural, and we need to learn to do it gracefully. But Christianity steals that from us. So they took Kronos the Titan, who was identified with Saturn, the Roman god, and then conflated him, inverted him, perverted him into this Abrahamic time lord, this father time, this grim reaper. He's coming for you. Time's running out. You better get saved, when it wasn't meant that way. You got time to develop. You got time to grow. You got time to unindoctrinate. You got time to optimize. And over time, because of Abrahamic's art, Abrahamic's literature, this all gets conflated. And like Dagger says, we become better with age because time's on our side. So we got to ask this question, though. Why in the world did Kronos, the Titan, castrate Uranus? Well, according to this Theogony, which is an ancient Greek book of heathen lore, Uranus was continually mating with Gaia, the earth. So sky, heaven was automatically and continuously mating with the earth. This is one of the reasons why the Judeo-Christian mind control matrix has embraced flat earth and used flat earth as a spokesperson to say, space is fake and gay, the planets are fake and gay, the stars are fake and gay, space is fake and gay. Now, if you were trying to cut people off from the realization that they are children of the skies and the earth, wouldn't you want to cut off the earth and make them think that, no, you got nothing to do with the skies, they're fake and gay? You might want to think about that for just a second. And they say that Kronos imprisoned many of his children, the Titans, the Cyclops, the Hundred-Handers, inside of Gaia, the earth. But we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that. And Gaia suffered greatly, and she was tired of getting kicked around. So she fashioned a sickle out of this thing called adamant. And if you remember I didn't watch much of these, but I watched the Wolverine movie, and his bones were made out of this thing called adamantium. You don't think they know this stuff? Come on now. Of course they do. And Gaia asked her children to overthrow this evil sky god. I think Gaia is asking us to do the same thing right now. But only Kronos, the Titan, stepped up and said, okay, I'll do it. Of course, this reminds you of the Jesus, here I am, send me story. It's actually in Samuel, but they conflate it to Jesus. Somebody says, why doesn't God do something? Why don't you do something? Why don't you step up and help me defeat this Abrahamic fear and guilt, Judeo-Christian mind control matrix? So the next time that Uranus came down, really to rape the earth at this time, Kronos cut off his genitals with a sickle. And then the blood fell into the earth and produced the Furies. We'll talk about them. The giants, we'll talk about them. And then some of those genitals fell in the sea. And up came the red hot goddess Aphrodite. Are you starting to see how deep this is? So Uranus, the sky, was raping the earth. That's one of the reasons why they want you to think that space is fake and gay, because you won't realize that beings from there are raping the earth. And then here comes Gaia with this Adamus. The Bible steals that and says that Yahweh's creation are Adama. That means the unconquerable. They know that's us. They can't conquer us. The untamable. Some of us can't be tamed. Some of us can be tamed. That's why I'm working a job and these guys are making money, because they can be tamed. I can't be tamed. And adamant is that legendary substance from which the Theogony said Gaia fashioned that sickle, which is a sword that her son Kronos used to castrate the evil sky god. So can you get it? Can you see it? We're the unconquerable and uncomparable. We're the untamable. The earth is crying out and saying, how long are you guys and girls going to let them rape me? I guess I should say R-word me. How long are you going to let it happen? Somebody needs to step up. Somebody needs to start swinging that sword. And why did Jesus, who said, those who live by the sword will die by the sword, but when it comes down to it in Revelation 19, he shows up with a sword? That's called a contradiction. I don't know why Christians can't see it, but they can't. But I'm here to point it out to them and have them kind of take a look-see. We're going to go ahead and pop onto TikTok as well and see what happens over there. We got almost 500 followers now. I would welcome you to go over to TikTok. I know some of you don't like TikTok, and that's cool. I get it. You don't have to like TikTok. But we're trying to get this message out to as many people as we can. So I'm going to go ahead and go live on TikTok right now. 3, 2, 1, boom. Now we're live on TikTok. Hey, TikTok, we're doing our long form deep program on a couple other platforms. I want to include you all in. So this is a very deep story, and it shows what's going on right now. So we really are the adamant. We're the ones that we got the same bones that Wolverine has. Adamantium, right? We're unbreakable. We're invincible. We're harder than any known metal. We're impossible to conquer. We cannot be conquered, TikTok. We cannot be conquered, Facebook, YouTube, X. We can't be conquered. It's a mythic material, not a clearly identified material. It's an indestructible, legendary substance. And if you're hearing my voice tonight, you're probably one of the last generation of real humans. You're legendary. You're indestructible. And now they have somehow got inside your head and convinced you that you got original sin, and the only way for you to win is to surrender on your knees. Are you kidding me? Why do you believe that? Maybe you want to ask yourself a question or two. I don't know. You might want to ask yourself a question or two. Why did Gaia make this sword? Probably because she was tired of getting R-word by an evil sky god. She finally got mad and created a plan. And I hope that maybe some of you are getting upset with the way things are going. Kronos stepped up and said, hey, I'm willing to use it. The Bible stole that, threw it into Samuel, here am I, send me. And then Kronos avenged his mother. You might want to start thinking about avenging Mother Earth. And this single act led to the birth of a few things. The Furies, which we'll talk about. The Giants. You should be thinking Revelation 6. The Melee. And from the sea, the salt, the beautiful Aphrodite. So in esoteric terms, this whole idea we're talking about is righteous, sacred, divine law, cutting through tyranny. And if you aren't living under a rock, and even if you are, you know that we're under tyranny tonight. Whether you're in the US, Australia, Europe, Asia, you know we're under tyranny. And it's about time for us to cut through this tyranny. And we have to undo this separation of space, sky from earth. and reunify ourselves. And also, this speaks about the ending of one age and the beginning of another. It's time to end this age of tyranny on planet Earth. And it starts by ending the age of tyranny in your life, in your heart. Why do you have trouble believing that you're divine, you're sovereign, you're free? Why do you think you have to go on bended knee to somebody else's savior? It's time to end this tyrannic world. And of course, we're talking esoterically and spiritually. This adamant is talking about your perfected spiritual will, your unbreakable diamond-like consciousness. Come on, I'm dropping bombs up in here tonight. And given the things that we've been discussing lately, Saturn, Chronos, inversions, ancient myths, does adamant itself represent the tool that we use to break through this false matrix of time? Is it time to separate the false from the true? Is it time to restore the harmony between the skies and the earth? And I know some of the flat earthers, all space is fake and G, because they don't want you to understand that it's all a unity. And it's time to end this separation. If you're a divine, sovereign, and free being, why do you need to have a mediator between you and God? Oh, Jesus is the only mediator. Says who? Says a book that you can't prove is real about a guy that you can't prove ever lived. Come on now, I'm trying to help you. Carl Jung, the great psychologist, not your normal psychologist, he says that this represented that the son has to separate from the father to establish his own identity. You know, we had that lady in the beginnings, all the men are sorry, and a lot of them are because they can't separate from their father. They can't go out and live on their own. Hell, they can't even move out of his basement. And Christianity says what? Jesus said, only people that can be saved is if they come to the Father through me. I say, get off your knees, become divine, sovereign, and free in your own right. And if you keep going back to the Father, you'll keep making the Father's mistakes. Chronos tells you to take charge of your own life and create your own golden age in your life. I'm living in a golden age in my life. In our household, we're living in a golden age. And I'm working my best to help my people live in a golden age and expand that to all people, to the whole earth, to the whole planets, to the whole universe, to the whole galaxy, whatever's smaller. I don't know if I did it in the right order. But it's time for us to reverse the curse. They wanted us to believe that we've fallen and can't get up. But Chronos and Saturn and divine, sovereign, and free theology tells you things were better. And they can be again. And this is what, this is not a write-in show. This is a call-in show. And you get people like this. Somebody calls himself Reasonable Six, and he's definitely not reasonable, but he might be six. You're not a real Christian. You're a liar. Well, you're not very bright, because I just finished saying I'm not a Christian. And if you want to call in, call in. But you don't have the courage to call in. You just want to troll the chat. I'm not a liar. I'm not a Christian. I'm the Christian whistleblower in the sense that Edward Snowden was the NSA whistleblower. I was a preacher for 25 years, and I'm exposing the things that Christianity doesn't want you to know. So you're not reasonable. You might be six. At least mentally, you might be six. And I may not be a liar, but I'm certainly reasonable, and you've proven that you're not. I won't call somebody, but I'll spout my mouth off randomly. Well, you've now exceeded your grace period. So if you want to act like a grown-up, then you can continue to share. But if you're going to act like a child, I'm going to put you in the corner in timeout. That's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. So you got a decision to make. Be reasonable, act like you're not 6, and you can stay. If not, we will kick you out. Some people used to call it ban a biatch. We don't do that anymore. We're trying to get a little more, but all you have to do is put a question in all caps. I'll open the phone lines and you can call in if you can find your testicles and summon up the courage to do so. So there's another interesting angle here. Kronos was never an evil figure. He was the ruler of the golden age. It's just keyboard cowboys. That's what I call them, keyboard cowboys. Kylie says they're keyboard warriors, more like keyboard whiners, but they're keyboard cowboys. It's not a write-in show. It's a call-in show. It's a call-in show. Let me go ahead and put the number up on the screen. I really hate to do it in some respects because it breaks up the flow of the D program, but it's not like they're going to call anyway. So let me put this proviso on here. Right now, if you love me, you think I'm sexy, you think I'm great, you're picking up on and putting down, don't call right now. Let's just leave this line open for the unreasonable, the 6-year-olds. Let's leave it open for the people that have a question for me, a challenge for me. And if you can be polite, if you can be interesting, and if you can be platform friendly, I'll take your call. I'm paying for it. I'm paying for it. But right now, let's leave it just for opposition calls. Can we do that? Kronos was always the god of the golden age until Christianity came along. And his image has been darkened by Christianity. What are they trying to hide? What are they trying to hide? They say that Kronos is all about authority and oppression. And yet now they're doing the same things that they accuse him of doing. And why aren't you asking questions and question answers about this? So let me get back to why did Kronos castrate the sky god that had been evil? Why? Why? Well, because he was R-wording the earth. But you got to remember, sometimes death gives birth to life, always, right? Sometimes endings have to happen before new beginnings can begin. So the thing that gets missed by people that don't want to study, and I'll guarantee you this reasonable 6 guy has never read the Bible from cover to cover, and he calls himself a Christian. He says the Bible's true, every word, but he's never even read it from cover to cover. So who's the liar? Uh-oh. Let's see if we've got an actual caller, or is this somebody just being, how they are? I think this is Jim calling in, and that's okay.
Call from.
You're live with Jeffrey Daugherty. What's on your mind?
Hey, brother. This is the first time that I would ever be on the other side of you. So I love you to death, but I gotta get this off the chest. All right. With all of these mythologies, they got no more proof than Jesus. They're stories. They're myths. Now, possibility, but it's a possibility. It's not a true story. It's just what people use. Now, opposition, I use opposition. You said adversary for Satan.
Jim, let me just say, though, we don't present them as this is the truth. It has to be this way or you're going to hell. We say this is something to think about.
Yes. I mean, let me say this. I love those stories. I do. But I don't put it as it's true. So, when you're talking about adversary or opposition, is if 2 men are fighting each other or going into a fight, both of them oppose each other. Now, one side's good, The other side thinks they're good. The other thinks they hate. The other says they hate. So they crash, and each one tries their best to destroy the other. Same thing with an army. One army is good. The other side said they're good. One says they're evil. The other said they're evil. So the word Satan is a word used as the most evil of all things. Whether it's a real word or not is not important to me. The thing is, it's a straw man that was built for it, or an altar that was built for it. It has nothing for me to do with Christianity.
Jim, can I interject
Sure.
something for here real quick?
Sure.
Now,
Sure.
if two guys throw down and get in a fight, that's one thing. But what about if one guy's just sitting there eating his lunch, taking care of his business, and he gets jumped by the other guy? Is the guy that got
Right.
jumped still an adversary, or is he just defending himself?
Well, he becomes an adversary if he has any balls.
He becomes an adversary of an attacker, and that's how I identify as the adversary. I'm the adversary of the people that invaded my planet, and I'm attacking back.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I understand what you're saying, but most men don't have balls.
You're correct.
So they're not. Actually, they're the worst of Satan's, because those without balls bow to all laws. And I am like you. I do not hold the rules to anybody over what I think is right.
Good man.
So now, it's kind of a duality. Adversary, Satan, good, bad, other side goes the other way, other goes the way. Molecules do the same thing. They go back and forth and destroy each other. Life, from beginning to end, destroys from one end to the other. So you even observe adversary to your own self from being birthed to death. So now, chaos. I use the word for it because that's the only one I will put to it that fits, is Satan. Because when chaos kicks in, what creates chaos is a blood murdering adversary. It destroys everything. And when you talk about the earth came to sky from Uranus, maybe if it did happen, that's what caused the chaos. And we all suffer under the chaos.
I agree.
We are tortured by the chaos. And there's no other word I can put on it other than Satan, because that's what the vast majority of people believe in. If I talked to 99% and said Satan, you know exactly it's the envy, the evil of all forces. So I have to work with the words people understand. Not because it's a adversary is actually what it means. Well, I'm like you. I understand technically, but you have to deal with the emotion of human beings, how they understand and take the words. So when I say Satans, for me, they're the most lowest creatures of all things, of all spirits of all things. So I have to put that word on it to be able to put the name on it.
I hear.
It's the most murdering monster ever existed. It's chaos, and we're all suffered in it. So as long as I'm being suffered, I don't thank anybody for putting me through pain and suffering. But anyway, brother, I love you to death, and I have to tell people, Jeffrey is one of the best human beings I know. But this is the only thing that I have to go the other way on. But I totally love him and care about him. And anyone who can help him and support him in any way, please do so.
And Jim, I
All
really
right, brother.
appreciate you. Thanks so much for the call. And really, Jim and I just have a semantic argument. I get his point, and I understand his point. He's saying I shouldn't use that word Satan. I get it. But I don't know if you noticed this about me or not. Did you ever watch the movie Airplane? And that woman's going crazy and they got to slap her. Sometimes when people are delirious, you got to give them a good slap to snap them out of it. And most Christians, the ones that are good people still on the inside and haven't been totally corrupted by the Abrahamic sphere and guilt, blood magic, mind control matrix, Twitter or TikTok. You probably couldn't hear Jim. Sorry about that. But sometimes they're in such a delusion, they got to be slapped a little bit. And when I call myself Satan, that's a little slap. That's a little device I use to kind of shake people up. Did he just say he's Satan? All of a sudden they're listening to me. All of a sudden they're listening to me. So do I really think I'm Satan? No. Do I think I'm an adversary to the Judeo-Christian message, which has enslaved the whole earth? Yes. Do I think that maybe I need to maybe it's time for a little chaos? Because if you're a Christian and you believe it, even though you've never read the Bible, it's going to take a little chaos in your brain to get you thinking a little bit. And if I got to call myself Satan and Jimmy Swaggart once told me, and I worked with him for about 18 months. He said, Jeffrey, I will use even gross stupidity to try to get a chance to speak to somebody for 5 seconds. That's what I'm doing, Jim. You're right. I probably shouldn't say it, but I'll probably keep doing it because I'm trying to just slap a little bit. I'm trying to just get somebody to wake up. Just for a little bit. Just give me 5 seconds of actual independent thought. Good call from Jim. In opposition, polite, interesting. That's the way we do things around here, folks. You don't have to just believe what the host believes. You don't have to. You don't have to. But Kylie said this earlier, and I'm sorry, I lost track of the chat. But she said, and she was kind of quoting Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson said, the problem with most people in the world today is that the internet has created an environment where you can say whatever you want without being afraid of being punched in the nose. That's what these keyboard cowboy trolls are all about. But from the seemingly violent, chaotic act of castration, there was life given to some great beings that are helping us win this war, this esoteric spiritual battle. And we can't escape the Genesis 6 implications of this. Remember in Genesis 6, bad guys come from the heavens. They marry God's girls. And then they start growing and they're taking over God's stuff. Well, the Chronos, Saturn religion says the same thing. They came, invaded our place. We couldn't stand by anymore. So we came down and started helping out the last generation of real humans. Cowgirls, yes. But both traditions are wrestling with the same argument, the same questions. Why is this world so filled with violence? If this is God's great earth, and God is large and in charge, then why is this world filled with violence? Could it be that the world is filled with violence because Judaism, Judeo-Christianity is inherently a violent religion? Have you read the Old Testament? No, I forgot. You haven't even read the Bible from cover to cover. Even when Jesus supposedly drove the money changers out of the temple, that was violent. And even the Bible says that the violent take it by force. So how do you balance these contradictions? 913-228-2586, 913-228-2586 if you're on TikTok and you want to call in. Do semi-divine beings exist? Genesis 6 says they do, but they're bad. The Chronos, Saturn, Jeff Darty, Divine, Sovereign, and Free, Last Generation Real Human message says, yes, semi-divine beings exist, and we're them. Why did the age of the gods end? We say because Christianity came and invaded us and made us forget it. Why has this world gotten so corrupted? They say because it's the heathens, but the heathens say it wasn't corrupted till y'all showed up. So when you lay these narratives next to each other, you begin to see how it all works out. You can't see this on TikTok, I'm sorry. But in Genesis 6, it says, the sons of God saw the daughters of men were beautiful. They were hot, hot. And what happens is, from the Abrahamic Judeo-Christian point of view, there's a forbidden union of people from the sky and people from the earth. We say it's a good thing. Okay, here's what really happened. I'll tell you what really happened. Earlier, we saw Rabbi Laitman talking about the invasion of earth by proto-Abrahamic beings. The word Hebrew means those from the other side, those from beyond. They came to a peaceful earth, and they started subjugating the peoples of the earth, just like Christianity did from day one. They marched out with the Roman army, repent or die. And just like Charlie Kirk and what's his name, Cruz, I forget his first name. I always want to call him Nicky Cruz. His name's not Nicky. What's his name? You know, that guy. They say the first thing they'll do when they get in power is execute everybody that doesn't love Jesus. And from that union of the sons of God and the daughters of men, I say that was us who came. I'm not from here. I'm from Florida in this life, but I came from another place because some of us said, we can't allow these invaders to go down there and destroy that beautiful place. So we came to help. And in order to help, we said, you know what we got to do? We ain't enough of us. So let's mate with these original humans and put our blood into them, and then they can start, Fuentes, they can start taking care of themselves. So the hybrid offspring in the Christian story is bad. In the real pre-Christian story, remember, we've had religion for at least 50,000 years. Christianity's been around for most of it too, so it's the Johnny-come-lately, the new kid in town. And the increasing violence in the Christian paradigm is bad. In our paradigm, it's good because we're just taking back our stuff. They say we came and corrupted the earth. We say you came and corrupted it first. We're just trying to fix it. They say God brought a flood to get rid of all of us, but we're still here, so we didn't do a very good job. We say he saw he was losing, so he tried to turn over the chessboard. He tried to take his toys and go home. But in both stories, beings from heaven cross the boundary to earth, create a hybrid race. They say it's bad. We say it's good. It creates violence. They say, oh, they're hurting us. We say we're defending ourselves. And in both cases, it winds up in a new world. In the Christian case, it winds up in a new world with their God large and in charge. And in our case, it winds up with a new golden age run by divine, sovereign, and free humans. So it's the same story told from different angles. Sky deities, mating, divine beings, supernatural race, new cosmic order. So you can either choose to believe the Christian story, or you can choose to believe the heathen story. And whichever side you choose, you got to ride with them to the end. We think we're going to win. We think this world's going to be better than it's ever been, sooner than even we can imagine, and it'll be a new golden age, better than the original golden age, where every human is divine, sovereign, and free, and can live according to their conscience, regardless of their color of skin, regardless of who they want to worship or not worship. They got the right to be left the heck alone. They say, do it our way or burn in a lake of fire. I just give you the choice. Which one do you want to choose? Which one do you want to choose? They say the way it happened was bad. We say the way we happened, it was good. But one thing you can't ignore is our stories were there first. So they copied our stories. Why can't they make up their own story? They copied our stories. They copied our stories. Somebody stole something from somebody else, and we were here first. So I think that kind of makes it pretty simple, pretty easy. And that makes the sons of God and the Nephilim PSY-OP the biggest inversion and projection that ever happened. We were just coming down to help these people get their land back that had been stolen from them. And they got mad at us for defending the innocent, and now we're the bad guys. You got to pick a side. And this whole idea of just be the observer, just be the passerby, that's cowardice. That's nonsense, in my opinion. It's time to pick a side. It's time to get involved. And we're talking about a spiritual, esoteric battle here. We're not talking about war. We're talking about a spiritual, esoteric battle. I know we've been here longer than that, James. I'm just talking about archaeologically, historically. So you got to pick a side. Who do you want to believe? But what it all comes down to is that there was an old order, then came a catastrophe, and there's going to be a new order. So if you're a Christian, you didn't like it the way it was when heathens were in charge, even though it was peaceful, everybody got along. Their God wants to bring a catastrophe. We are the catastrophe. And their gods, the Judeo-Christian God's idea of making a new order is to kill everybody that doesn't agree with him. Our idea is to let everybody decide what they want to do, and for lack of a better terms, may the best God win. And if you're a Christian today, how do you like this present New World Order? Are you liking it? You guys created it. And the original American Revolution wasn't Christian. They were deists. And it's even still on the dollar bill today. Novus Ordo Secularum. That means a new order for the ages. Do you like this current order? I don't. Do you think it's time for a new order of the ages? I do. It's time for a land where every single person can live divine, sovereign, and free. And they don't have to bend the knee to anybody to avoid burning in a lake of fire. You don't have to believe that. I do, and I'm here to share that with you. So, Genesis 6 also showed an end of unrestricted interaction between heaven and earth. And now Flat Earth tells us that space is fake and G. But even then, it shows a cutoff between communication from heaven and earth. And even Jesus cut off communication from heaven and earth. Because before Jesus, it was a straight line. We could go straight to the divine. But Jesus came and put that cross on that cross piece on the cross, which cut off communication between divinity and humanity. And even Paul said there's only one mediator between God and man. In my opinion, one mediator's too many mediators. Why do I have to go through somebody else to get to the divine? I believe in God, and I can go straight to God. I don't need plastic Jesus. But God said, because they came down, my spirit will not abide with men forever. He cut off communication between heaven and earth, and Jesus continued that. Even the book of Enoch, which is a forgery, retells the story. But it's a retelling of the heathen story that our people came from heaven, started a rebellion against people that were subduing other people, made people strong like bull so they could fight back, and they want to imprison us beneath the earth. Where do Christians say hell is? Beneath the earth. Come on now. Come on now. It's the same story from different perspectives, and it's time for you to choose a side. And if you don't choose a side, you don't get to share in the victory. Just like your mom told you, if you clean your room, I'll give you $1. If you didn't clean your room, you didn't get $1. You didn't get $1. No matter how much you wanted to holler. And back to this castration of Uranus. Could this possibly symbolize the closing of an age? in the reopening of an age where the divine, the earthly, and the heavenly will reunite. And really, it's a spiritual battle between the Abrahamic Judeo-Christian matrix and the last generation of real humans who want to be divine, sovereign, and free. In the heathen tradition of this story, an invading space force sheds innocent blood. In the heathen version, we're sitting there minding our own business. In history, the heathens were sitting there minding their own business, and the Christians came marching over the hill and said, convert or die. And because they marched over the hill and said, convert or die, we got upset with that and wanted to resist genocide. Genesis in the book of Enoch says they should have just let us take their stuff. We say no. So again, it's time for you to pick a side.
In fact, we're not
Here's the
coming from
story.
here. We came from there. Like this. This is Israel at their root. So we went through such a route that took us inside by what's called the shattering of the vessels. The shattering of the collective soul.
Who's the chief of staff that sent this command unit?
Him, the creator. Israel is a part of him.
So, seemingly this chief of staff sent this command unit?
Sent the commando, gave them strength, gave them the connections, everything. And if they're connected to him, but they have no choice. He broke them. He shattered them. What does it mean? In order to put them inside the hostile land, he had to give them the same form of that hostile land. It's like we go into a country as an undercover team. And each one of us is exactly like the people of the land.
Sounds like a sleeper cell to me.
Say we're being now sent somewhere, Africa, for instance. So we'll take on the same shape and form of the people in Africa. The characteristics, traits, approach, interests, everything.
Sounds like an infiltration.
Same exact form, inside and out. As we are there, you know, it's like an undercover agent.
Or a spy.
He is there for a while, no one touches him, he has to start working, build a house, family, everything is fine, okay, for years and years. After that, he starts doing something. He gets a reminder from outside. You got to start working. You know, he already forgot about it. And all of a sudden, they call him, here is your commander, this and this and that. You know, like in the movies. And like in Jason Bourne. And this is what's happening with us. We have to wake up. We have to remember that we have a special mission.
Who's going to wake up first?
And really, this isn't our place. We're coming from a completely different place. So we have to find our friends according to this awakening. Did you get a phone call? I got a phone call. He got a phone call, and so on.
Did you get
activated?
activated?
And then we gather as a group. So from this entire planet, we are aliens. We're coming from a different galaxy. We received
Maybe
this
some
ray of
aliens
light,
are demons.
this awakening individually, and now we're gathering as groups, starting to prep ourselves to conquer Earth.
They said it.
That's the mission. What? You don't see it?
How do we
It's time
conquer
to
it?
see it.
How do we conquer it? We're also sent the method. We're being shown everything gradually. We're being taught. Not taught, but kind of being trained, activated.
He said it. Activated.
And then that emotion and mind awakens in us. But in fact, it's new to us, but in fact it's coming from our original planet. And thanks to that original natural force we have, we will take over. We'll take over those living on Earth.
So heathens are defending themselves against an attempted genocide.
What are you looking at me like that? You don't believe what I'm telling you? I'm telling you seriously. It's even more than that. It's not a different galaxy. It's a different universe. It's a different dimension altogether.
Told ya.
That's who we are.
When someone tells you who they are, it's a good idea to believe them. So with the castration of Uranus, the Furies were born. And the Furies are among the oldest and most mysterious figures in all of heathen esoteric lore. They're not monsters. They're not demons. They are people. They are entities that embody the Golden Age principles of the original concept of the heathen divine cosmic justice system that predates even the Olympian gods. These are the people, these are the entities that think that all people should be divine, sovereign, and free. They represent the idea that there are certain moral violations, the shedding of innocent, you know what, the taking over people's lands. There are some things that create consequences that cannot, should not be wished away or forgiven. I mean, we're living in a country, almost wherever you're listening to me, whether on whatever platform, you're living in a place that's been taken over by invaders. And do you think they're going to just go away? No, they're not. And that blood that was spilled, no one wants blood to be spilled, but it did create the Furies. It did create the giants. It did create the nymphs. And they are born. They didn't just decide to start hurting people like the Christians did. They were born because of an act of cosmic violence. They were born because of the slaughter of innocents. And the Furies arose in the earth because we were invaded by an invading alien force. And we stand to bear witness that there are enduring consequences of violently transgressing against divine, sovereign, and free people of all races and beliefs. Everybody has the right to believe how they want to believe. Some say there was 3 of them. Some say there was a big host of them. But the underlying theme is vengeance against foreign invaders. Christianity is among the leaders of appeasing foreign invaders. You have to decide what you want to do. What are the Furies? What are the people that don't want to be displaced from their own land? What are they fighting against? They're fighting against violence, patricide, matricide, fratricide, violating of oaths, abusing hospitality, crimes against your parents, your elders, your ancestors, perjury, lying, cheating, stealing. Attacking innocent people. Is it bad when decent people say there's some things that are too much and they have to be opposed? That's the question that I'm asking you tonight. That's the idea I'm asking you to consider. And did you ever think, in the Bible it says that the blood called out from the earth? That's an old heathen idea, that innocent blood cries out for justice. Supposedly, Abel's blood cried out from the ground. And it was spilled blood that awakened the Furies. They stole our story, they inverted it, and then they projected it back on us to cover up that they're the ones doing the things that they accuse us of doing. Injustice cannot go unchallenged. And the Furies can't be escaped, and neither can we. We're not going away. We're not going to rest, and I'm not going to shut up until everybody is divine, sovereign, and free. We will haunt you. We will be in your dreams. We will remind you of what you've done. And we will fight this esoteric spiritual battle. Our battle's not against flesh and blood, but principalities, powers, rulers of wickedness in high places. No matter where the guilty flee, the Furies follow. I think we got a good clip coming up here. It's coming up pretty soon. Here it is.
You called down the thunder, well, now you got it. You tell them I'm coming, and hell's coming with me, you hear? Hell's coming with me!
Thank you, Kylie. The Furies are really the kindly ones. I'm a man of peace. Sorry, TikTok, I got to repeat. I'm a man of peace. I'm a man of harmony. I want all men to live divine, sovereign, and free, no matter their race. We don't want revenge. We just want justice. And sometimes it takes a little thunder to bring some justice. And Athena, that divine feminine essence, said, look, don't just be running around killing people all the time. She said this to the Furies. And they actually became the kindly ones, and they only activated themselves to avenge injustice. Do you hear what I'm saying? And you got to understand, this concept of the Furies is older than the Olympic pantheon. It's older even than Zeus. Heathen religions recognize an order more fundamental than the will of any individual god. There's a moral structure that's actually built into the cosmos, and that's why flat earthers want you to forget about the cosmos. We were here long before Christianity ever showed up. We'll be here long after Christianity ever showed up. They didn't bring law. They didn't bring morality. They brought the opposite. And we're here to say we're tired of what you're doing to our earth, and we're going to take it back. Remember, it's a spiritual battle. And this is not about my God's better than your God. Because true galactic order transcends the will of any one God, other than the Most High God, obviously. This is an ancient intuition that the universe is just, and that sooner or later the just have to stand up and resist injustice.
In fact,
we don't have
we're
to
not
see this
coming
again.
from here.
You got the
We
point.
came from there.
You called down the thunder, well now you got it. You tell them I'm coming, and hell's coming with me, you hear? Hell's coming with me!
We will not stand by in the face of injustice. We will not stand by in the face of injustice. There is an inevitable reckoning coming. I submit to you that the heathen reckoning is natural, it's righteous, it's cosmic order. And that the Judeo-Christian reckoning is justification for their invasion and wanting to take over everything and say, if you don't bow to us, you're going to burn in a lake of fire. It does look a little bit like Borg. One final thought that I think is very, very interesting. The Furies or the Iranes were born from the blood of the Sky Father being spilled onto the earth. And really, we are children of a broken relationship between heaven and earth. I say it was broken by the Bible God. They say it was broken by our people. But we were here first. It's our world. These two traditions explain the same thing in different theological terms. Either everybody's divine, sovereign, and free. Everybody has the right to choose what they believe in or what they choose not to believe in. And everybody has the right to be left the heck alone so they can live their lives as long as they're not infringing upon anybody else. That's the heathen perspective. The Christian perspective says, our God's better than your God, and if you don't worship him, you're going to burn forever in a lake of fire. There are consequences. Depending upon which paradigm you align with, there are different consequences for different people, but it ends up in the same thing. We're either going to have a restoration of the golden age, or we're going to live in a Judeo-Christian theocracy. And the good thing is, right now, you still get to choose.
You called down
One
the
more
thunder,
time.
well now you got it. You tell them I'm coming, and hell's coming with me, you hear? Hell's coming with me!
For too long, we've been too nice to too many. And it's time for us to start standing up for justice. It's a spiritual battle. It's a spiritual battle. But Jeff, how can any beauty come from violence? It's a decision between living on your knees or standing on your feet. And you get to decide which you want to do. And life often emerges from endings. And remember, Aphrodite is at the center of this. Everybody just thinks Aphrodite was hot, but she was a lot more than that. She was the embodiment of attraction. Do you know what's good for men to think girls are hot? Do you know what's good for girls to think men are hot? That perpetuates the race, right? Beauty leads to desire, which leads to reproduction, which is good. And then we get to align with the people we choose to align with. We have a coherent social order, but without attraction, nothing joins, nothing reproduces, and nothing continues. And why does the Bible say that it's bad to want to get with a girl? Because they don't want us to reproduce people that want to be divine, sovereign, and free. They only want the people to reproduce that are willing to live on bended knee. And that ain't us. We're talking about believing in a divine celestial spirit. We're talking about a unity amongst multiplicity. Some of the people on YouTube that are friends of mine say they just want it to be all this race of people. You know, the Christian identityists, they're really the white Hebrew Israelites. They just want it to be for white people, not me. The black Hebrew Israelites just want it to be for black people, not me. I love all people. You know who the chosen people are? People are the chosen people. Everybody deserves to live divine, sovereign, and free. Everybody deserves to live divine, sovereign, and free. And however you want to worship, whoever you want to worship, as long as you're not infringing upon the rights, the property of other people, then knock yourself out. Knock yourself out. But when you want to say, I got to do it your way or I'm going to burn forever, cousin, we got a problem. That's why I'm the Christian whistleblower. Because Christianity says our way or the highway, heaven or hell, turn or burn. I say nonsense. No thank you, sir. No thank you, ma'am. I would rather die for what I believe in than live on my knees. And do you realize if you're a Christian, you go to heaven, you're on your knees forever? I don't want to do it. And I won't do it. And you know how I know for sure the Bible's not true? Because it says every knee will bow. Not this knee. Never going to happen. I am living proof that the Bible's not true. I will not bow. You know, there's an old story, a guy called the Great Horatio in Rome. And he said, everybody dies. The thing is to die well. And how much better can a man die, or a woman, than facing impossible odds for the ashes of their fathers in the temples of their gods? They say we're bad. We say we're just trying to create a world where everybody can live according to their own conscience. You decide what's your choice. So when we get back to Satan and Saturn, Saturn was turned into Satan by the Christians because Saturn represents the God of the golden age of divinity, sovereignty, and freedom. They turned him into Satan because we have the audacity to say, live how you want to live. Worship who you want to worship. And may the best man win. May the best man win. So Christianity calls Saturn, the great heathen god, the god of the golden age, the ultimate enemy. And we really are the ultimate enemy of Christianity. That's why I got this t-shirt. We're the ultimate enemy because they say their way or the highway, heaven or hell, turn or burn. We say everybody's divine, sovereign, and free. Don't live on bended knee. Stand up for who you are. Saturn was not originally evil. Saturn was the Lord of the Golden Age, the bringer of agriculture, the bringer of civilization, the one who taught mankind, the one who keeps divine justice, the one who keeps the cycles of life moving. That doesn't sound like the devil, but now he's the devil. We're only the devil because we oppose their story. And if your story is so bad, the only way that you can perpetuate it is to kill people that don't believe it. And you know, the biggest slap in the face to me is this. Saturn's big holiday was Saturnalia. Do you know when Saturnalia occurred? December 25th. Christians even stole Saturnalia and turned it into Christmas. And on Saturnalia, the master served the slaves, or the owners served the workers. Everybody gave each other gifts. We had big dinners together. All people, red, yellow, black, white, brown. Joy was celebrated. And if Saturn was so bad, why did they steal Saturnalia and turn it into Christmas? Because they can't even make up their own stuff. They got to steal it from us. Because they know it was good. They know it was good. Everybody that's ever read history knows that when Christianity spread throughout Europe, they killed everybody that wouldn't worship Jesus, and then they reinterpreted all of their gods. The horned god of my people, the great stag, became the horned god devil. Our sacred groves became, the haunted, scary forests. All of our nature spirits became demons. All of our ancestors in the heavens became aliens or demons. The Judeo-Christian Abrahamic matrix turned the God of the Golden Age into today's Satan. Why? And there's a remarkable name similarity, Satan, Saturn. It's almost like Zeus and Jesus. See where I'm going with that? They even stole Saturnalia and turned it into Christmas. They even stole Saturnalia and turned it into Christmas. Saturn is just the god of natural time, cycles, aging, death, harvest, endings. But Christianity has taken Saturn and turned him into the god of bondage, corruption, when they're the ones, arguably, that are guilty of bondage and corruption. Thinking people see an inversion. Saturn became bad. The sickle, which is just natural sowing and reaping, became the grim reaper. Don't fear the reaper. Did they know something? Christian imagery associates death with evil. The last enemy is death. To us, death is just another day. And today's a good day to die or win. Today's a good day to win or die trying. Death isn't bad. It's not sinister. It's just the natural completion of growth. It's just the natural completion of growth. And I think they kicked me off of TikTok. I think I must have expired my time. Oh, well. Sorry, TikTok. Bye-bye. And even Jesus said, unless a seed falls to the earth and die, nothing can grow. It's not a big deal. Death is a part of life. Death is a part of life. Saturn is not Satan. Saturn's just the Lord of natural existence. But he's been turned into the Lord of fallen creation. The inversion is that all heathen gods are demons. Then why did they adopt all of our local gods and turn them into saints? Why did they build their churches over our ancient places of worship? Why did they steal our Saturnalia? Because they know it was a good thing. Today, Saturn has a trashed reputation. The god of the golden age has become the god of restriction. The God of agriculture has become the God of imprisonment. The God of wisdom has become the God of original sin. The God of abundance has become the God of suffering. And the God of divinity, sovereignty, and freedom has become the God of control through fear. And the Bible says, I don't think it was a free speech thing out, and I haven't been on TikTok long enough to stream as long as I did, so I just ran out of time. That's okay. Why would such an inversion happen? Why would a religious movement pervert somebody else's beliefs? Because they're seeking dominance. Because they're seeking dominance. They get rid of the old God so they can redirect the worship to the new God, their God. They discourage everybody else's practices with death so you can only worship their God. They reframe the old gods as dangerous. This is occulting, this is inverting, and this is projecting their own evil deeds onto somebody else. This is why Golden Age Saturn became Satan in the Christian matrix. That's why Saturn's become Satan. Religious systems will pervert and absorb the people that won't go along with them if they get in power. It's thievery, it's occultation, it's inversion, and it's projection at its very, very worst. Why are they so afraid of it? Why are they so afraid of us? Saturn ruled borders, walls, natural time, and regular endings. Yahweh stole all of this, and now he opens the borders, tears down the walls, makes purity ritualistic, calls some people clean and unclean. What kind of a God has a chosen people? People are the chosen people. Saturn was a god of mountains. He was the mountain king. Yahweh stole it and created Mount Sinai, Mount Zion. Harvest was the cycles of life. Now it's become grapes. We talked about grapes. Now it's become the reaping of souls. Which paradigm do you want to align with? Saturn was natural sowing and reaping, the inevitability of change. Now Yahweh's become the judge of all nations, turn or burn, heaven or hell. And you got to come to him to get any blessings instead of following your own conscience. Saturn governed natural time. Yahweh brought in this scripted history, the scripted time. If you're a Christian, time's running out. If you're heathen, time is on our side. Yes, it is. The original heathen world honored Saturn. Here comes the Judeo-Christian reform. Yahweh steals the throne and reframes everything that was good into bad. In the Saturn golden age, we had a golden age. Yahweh said, no, we're fallen. In the golden age, we had agricultural abundance. Yahweh said, the ground's cursed for your sake. Saturnalia was about inclusivity. Yahweh says, only if you obey my laws. Saturn says, time is cyclical. Yahweh says, time is running out. Saturn was the old king of all people. Yahweh is a jealous covenant God that says the beginning of wisdom is to fear him. Before Christianity, Saturn wasn't evil. He was a highly respected deity. And they even stole our great Saturnalia. You see, Christianity changed the religious landscape, didn't they? As Christianity became dominant in the Roman Empire, heathen gods were no longer viewed as legitimate divine beings. They were viewed as demons. Everything that was called good became bad. Satan became entangled with Saturn. Saturn became entangled with Satan. Some Christian writers did recognize Saturn as a heathen god, but most of them just said, no, that's Satan, the devil. So it's historically plausible that the imagery that's associated with hell and Hades and similar figures was absorbed into the Christian imagination of this ever-burning lake of fire. And they did the same thing with Saturn and Satan. What was a golden age of agriculture and cosmic order is perverted into darkness, Satan, imprisonment, and judgment when they're wanting to do those things. Christianity recasts what was once the stern Lord of natural time into the cosmic adversary. They hid and occulted their own deeds and projected their own evil deeds onto somebody else so you wouldn't notice it was them that was doing those deeds. In heathenry, hell is a neutral custodian of the dead. You don't go to hell because you're bad. You kind of go to hell because you weren't good enough to go to Valhalla, but you still get another chance. Now hell is ever-burning lake of fire. Now the underworld is eternal punishment. And the great God of the golden age is now the emblem of darkness and oppression. Christian demonology has incorporated and reinterpreted all of our heathen cosmologies. Is that okay with you? It's not okay with me. And it blows my mind that the phones have been open all this time and nobody will call. Saturn's clearly been rebranded. Saturn's clearly been demonetized, demonized, and Saturn's been forgotten. But I'm here tonight to remind you that Saturn stood for the golden age of abundance, wisdom, order, harvest, and time. And we've been transformed from a people that believed in the God of abundance, wisdom, order, harvest, and time into people that are trapped into a heaven or hell, turn or burn, governed by a God of a fall, of fear, of shame, of punishment, and of the threats of eternal fire. Is that the world you want to live in? Is that the God you want to serve? If you want to, I believe you got the right to. But I want you to know there's another way. And I want you to consider maybe it's a better way. They say it's heaven or hell, turn or burn. I say you're divine, sovereign, and free, and you have the right to live that way. If that makes me a bad guy, then I'm a bad guy. And I'm okay with that. And that's all I got for you tonight. I'll be back on, what is this, Wednesday? I'll be back on Sunday with Not Your Normal Sunday. And I think we're going to finish this loop up. I think we're going to finish this loop up. Let me check what I got on the drawing board. If you want to call, this is the time, because we're about done. What are we going to do next time? Next time, we're going to talk further about we're going to get into next week. It's going to be the Saturn Moon Matrix. That's what we're going to talk about. The Saturn Moon Matrix. That'll be our subject on Sunday. And you know that's going to be a good one. You know that's going to be a good one. Be a good one. Coming in. I think it might be Jim again. Where's my number pad? You're live with Jeffrey Darty. What is on your mind? Let me share the screen. Give me 1 second. What's on your mind, caller?
Well, since no one's calling, I will.
Okay.
There was a couple of shows back when you talked about July 2nd and why they changed it.
Yes.
I had another look to it because I was always into numerology and astrology and all that kind of stuff. So all of your Masons at that level in that time, they knew what astrology was, and they also knew numerology.
They did.
And people just don't know about this. So now, why did they change the day 2 to day 4?
Tell us your opinion.
Because they had to make a balance. They had to make a flow of energy. So the way I look at it, July was the 7th number 1, number 7. So 7 was, my brain, I had some wine, I'm so sorry.
Take your time. Take your time.
Okay. So anyway, 7-4 made it an 11. Why did they have to make it 11? If they made it 2, it would have been a 9. But they had to make it an 11 because they were trying to start a new age of Aquarian.
Great point.
So when you take 7 being Libras is balance. It's weighing the laws.
That's deep, Jim.
When you go to 4, it's your square blocks for starting a new foundation. Now you go to 1776, which made a 3, which is the new beginning of a new energy for the country. Now you add all the numbers together, comes to 5. 5 is Leo. Leo, or number 5, brings freedom. That's why they lined them all up for, in my opinion.
That's good. Those are good thoughts, man. Those are really good thoughts.
You know something strange about that too?
Tell me.
They used 3 winds, 3 airs with 1 fire in those numbers. So your fire was Leo. Now, Aquarian, Libra, with air, and the other air, sorry, I'm shutting down again, was Libra. So you have 3 airs for 1 fire. So why 1 fire for 3 airs? Is because that is the mentality, the power of the mind. And the fire is the ignition to kick off the mind.
So we're supposed to be thinkers.
Yes. We're supposed to recreate. And this is supposed to energize us. That's why we came to where we are now. It's because the intelligence that we put into what we were, which has now been destroyed. But anyway, I've said enough. But thank you so much, brother.
That is great stuff, Jim. Thanks so much for calling in. What a great way to end this D program. There's so much there. That's why I encourage people not to stop thinking. I used to think I knew it all. I don't. But at least I'm honest enough to tell you I don't know it all. And I want you to take it all in and make your own decisions. And if that makes me a bad guy, then I'm a bad guy. It's up to you, folks. It's up to you. Do you want to be divine, sovereign, and free? Or do you want to believe that you had original sin instead of the spark of divinity within? It's up to you. I'm just the mailman. I just make the deliveries. You decide what to do with them. This has been a good one. This has been one for the ages. I appreciate you all more than you know. We'll be back on Sunday. Not your normal Sunday. The Saturn Moon Matrix. Have they inverted that too? I salute you for being here seeking after truth. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower. I'm on TikTok again with the plunge videos. When Cynthia's grandson isn't asleep, I do the hot box sauna videos. I'm just here to remind you to think that maybe you're divine, sovereign, and free, and you don't need to go and bend the knee to somebody else's savior. Just casting seed. I believe you have the right to know all the data so you can make the best decision. I love you very much. We'll see you again on Sunday.